Hey yo, it's Anime K-Man, and today I'm going to be reviewing episode 1 of Assassin's Pride. And in regards to this episode, it had some good, it had some bad. Now, let me start out by mentioning its story beats. Now, for the most part, it starts out with a cool action scene, and even though there was some walking directing, like there were instances where guys had a gun pointed at our main character, but they didn't pull the trigger. But for the most part, the fight sequence was decently choreographed. It kind of falls apart whenever there's a sequence that doesn't not involve action. Let me explain why. There is a sequence while he's on the train. He pretty much has this inner monologue where he exposition dumps that the area that he lives in, they're attacked by these creatures at night. And there it kind of feels unnatural because, for one, he's already been in that setting for multiple years. So, I mean, it feels unrealistic for someone to inner monologue something that they already know. So right off the bat, information is presented unnaturally. Then it does the same shit again. Because later on, he monologues literally that his mission is to tutor this girl called Melita Angel. And it's speculated that Melita Angel, her mother might have had an affair with another man that isn't part of the Angel family. So it's in a situation where Melita Angel, while she's related to her mother biologically, she might not be related to the man of the Angel family. So if there's a chance that she isn't part of that of the father's bloodline, then our main character Kufa's mission is to assassinate her and all that kind of jazz. And while the premise itself is relatively interesting, the way the information is presented is fucking horseshit. Because what they literally could have done is they could have had the mission given out by his superiors, and that way we would have learned about all that information naturally instead of just having this fucking out of place exposition dump where we learn the information. So already the whole ugly exposition thing rears its ugly head again multiple times in this episode. And then afterwards, these ugly ass exposition comes out of fucking thin air again when there's a sequence where, like, you have Melita Angel interacting with girls from the school, and then literally the main character is literally having inner monologues about her lack of talent and all that kind of jazz. And it kind of feels like pointless exposition because you could have literally just watched the fight scene and we could have really gotten that information just by showing the fight scene, or the fucking writer of this anime doesn't need to spoon feed us this information as if we were dumbasses. So that's what really got to me on this episode from the story standpoint. Well, yes, it is interesting because parts ways in, even though the main character kind of comes to the realization that Melita Angel might not be related to the former male head of the Angel family, he still decides to take care of her, going against his own orders. So while that portion of the episode was interesting, everything else to get to that portion was presented god-awfully. And aside from this episode having some god-awful exposition dumps, this episode also had situations where the choreography was kind of off, because while the first fight scene was good and the second fight scene was good, there were some moments where you had Melita fighting against this bully in the sparring session, and it looked pretty awkward. So there was that. And then there were moments where the episode felt rushed, because literally, the main character did something to Melita's body so that she can utilize mana, because her situation was that she couldn't use mana, yet he put something in her mouth, some kind of drink, and then afterwards, you see celebrating utilizing mana, but it's like, okay, this episode, it just keeps on rushing through the things without even giving us a proper explanation. It's like going from point A to point C without going to point B first. So that's something that really kind of threw me off about this episode at times. It just goes way too fucking quick sometimes. And that's why I felt it was kind of wonky when it came to the story standpoint. And as for the characters, that's kind of its redeeming quality. I do like how Melita Angel's goal is to try to utilize mana and want to use it for good and trying to get into like this squad that does use mana, so that for certain purposes. So I do like that portion of the episode, and I do like the bit of character development we get for Fusa. And let me explain. I mean, Kufa, and let me explain why. Because he went from wanting to assassinate this girl because originally his mission was to observe if Melita Angel can utilize mana, and if he can't, he has to kill her because of the orders of his superior. I like how he went from that towards, all right, now he's gonna try to protect her, and he's gonna try to, because he heard that she has the ambition of wanting to use mana no matter what, and he was swayed by this sequence where she was fighting against these night creatures without utilizing mana, and even though she was getting an ass whoop, she wasn't asking for help, and that's how he was won over. Well, I like that sequence because you see his growth, because now he wants to take care of this girl that's determined. And while I do like that specific elements about this episode, I feel like it wasn't enough to salvage the weaker portions of the script of this episode. And as for the animation and art, the character designs feel too samey because literally the main character looks like a ripoff of Karitsa but with purple hair. And the girl character design is pretty decent. But other than that, not much to hit home about the art, except for the background art. That does look beautiful. And the animation, it's a mixed bag. Some portions look beautiful, some don't. And that's why I'll rate this episode a 4.75 out of 10, which in my book is a smidge below average because in my rating scale, 5 is average. And the reason why I felt this was below average is because while I did like some of the characters, the exposition dumps kind of ruin it for me. And if it's this bad in this episode, I can't even imagine how much worse it's going to get in future episodes. Because that's how it is in fantasy animes. If the first episode starts out with exposition dumps, more than likely, 9 tenths out of 10, the future episodes are going to have nothing but exposition dumps. So that's why I feel like I'm probably not going to keep up with this, and the chances of me keeping up are probably 60-40, with 60% of chance of me not keeping up with it, 40% chance of me keeping up with it. But yeah, y'all, these are my thoughts on the episode. I didn't think it was god-awful, but I honestly felt like it did certain things to keep it from being super enjoyable. So anyways, y'all, these are my thoughts on Assassin's Pride Episode 1. Be sure to comment on your thoughts on my review in the comment section below. Rate the video, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys later if you come back for more. Alright, y'all. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great and safe day. Bye-bye.